just come off 3 straight massive military defeats: the Battle of Brandywine Creek, the massacre at Paoli, the Battle of Germantown when they tried to retake Philadelphia and they were just rebuffed. The entire Continental Army was sent scurrying. And not only was there a crisis of confidence militarily, but I believe there was a crisis of conscience about what are we doing and do we have the right leadership to do this?
The composition of the Continental Army was like a revolution within a revolution. There were people from almost all kinds of backgrounds: Irish, Germans, Italians, Polish, really across the board, a lot of nationalities, a lot of immigrants in the Continental Army. And I think that's going to surprise people that might think the Continental Army was made up of regular soldiers or farm boys that had volunteered for the duration of the war. It was also, I think, an aspect that it was the last time until the Korean War that the American Army was integrated, because there was something like 10 to 20% of the force that was fighting alongside George Washington were African American soldiers.
Not only was Washington fighting the British while he was camped at Valley Forge that winter of 1777, 1778, but he was fighting a 2-front war. He was actually battling for his political life against a faction of congressmen and even some of his own officers. He showed that he could not only handle the British on one end, but he could deftly handle his American detractors on the other.
The first thing Washington had to do to transform his army into a fighting force was help it survive, because of malnutrition, because of weather conditions, because of disease. So once they were able to survive, once they got through the worst of the winter, Washington started to train the soldiers, become like the British regular army instead of being basically some poorly trained militia. And they started to make a turnaround. They started to learn how to fight like a coordinated unit in the middle of battles, how to change direction if they had to. So that all made an enormous difference.
Boy, I would like to sit here for an hour and just go through every one of the cast of characters who surrounded Washington and who buttressed him, whether it was his surrogate sons, the Marquis de Lafayette, Alexander Hamilton, you probably never heard of him from the play, John Lawrence, who is the founding father you never heard of. My favorite character in the book very well might be the Baron von Steuben. I mean, we all know the John Adams, the Ludlows, the politicians, the Jeffersons that created the United States of America. Much less well known are these military attachés, aides-de-camps, and generals, which just assisted in Washington in getting through what the historian Joseph Ellis calls the existential moment of the American Revolution.